Welcome back to Locked In Podcast. Before we dig into the episode today, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's episode, which is Life Advantage. Oxidative stress, it's in everybody's body on this planet. It is the leading cause of aging and disease. What if we could reduce that by 40% in just 30 days? We can. With one NRF2 activator taken daily, your oxidative stress levels will be significantly lowered while supporting the body's natural ability to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. Activate healthy aging today with one little yellow pill. If you'd like to learn more or purchase NRF2, reach out to me directly on IG at SER_Sage or visit the link tree in my bio to check out the LifeVantage website for yourself. Thank you, LifeVantage, for sponsoring today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Locked In Podcast, Season 3, Episode 11 here today. Today, we will be joined by a former teammate of mine, a 4-time state qualifier in Michigan, 3-time placer, 7th, 2nd, 3rd with 180 high school wins, 4-time national qualifier for Cornerstone University, a 3-time All-American, 3rd, 5th, 7th, with over 100 wins in college, Trevor Marsman. Let's bring him in here, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Absolutely. How's it sound? So I know we'll dig into it a little bit throughout this episode, but I know that you weren't really necessarily looking to wrestle in college. So how's it feel like just hearing that you went and actually wrestled and hearing the accomplishments that you've had?
It's crazy. It really is. Like you said, I did not want to wrestle. I didn't necessarily not want to wrestle in college, but I didn't have it on my radar. I was just really looking forward to getting in the work and just starting my life. And then Cornerstone started a team right down the road, and it was all just perfect timing that everything popped up when it did, and I was able to hop on the first team Cornerstone ever had. And
That's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's a great thing, especially with the club that I help out with now for wrestling. We got a lot of guys that are looking to go to Cornerstone, and I think that program's definitely on the come up for NAIA. So it's pretty cool.
Yep, we're looking to achieve big things in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, next year, even the year after that, but we got big goals for the next 3 to 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, I usually put my guest Instagram on the screen. Trevor is not a big social media guy. He'll be the first to tell you that.
No.
So, if you want to follow him, it's Trevor.Marsman on Instagram. You guys can follow him there. But I'm just happy you were able to join here, Trevor. I think it's a really cool story that you have. I love you, love your family. Just wanted to get you on here and just get a deeper look into your college career. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So before we dig into a deeper conversation here, what age did you start wrestling and what got you into wrestling?
So I started wrestling in 4th grade, I think. Yeah, right around 4th grade. And my brother was always on the Cedar Springs wrestling team. He was, to be honest, he wasn't good at all. But it was cool to have a brother wrestling, and I was like, oh, I want to give that a try. So and it all worked out. So I ended up loving it and sticking with it all the way through college.
Yeah, 4th grade. It's a little late. What was the reason for starting a little bit later on?
When I was younger, I played soccer, football, baseball, every sport in the book that a kid could play, and I just loved playing sports, and I never honestly thought of wrestling. I was more of a ball guy, I guess you could say, and then I realized time to join a real sport.
Right, exactly. So you said you did play some other sports growing up. What were those sports exactly?
So I played flag football, rocket football, until I got to I played football until about 7th grade because then I was really small and I realized that I was going to get crushed by some of those big 7th and 8th graders at that time, and it was just not safe for me to play anymore. I played soccer till about the same age. Never was really good at it, but I played it. It was fun. I played baseball till not very old. I quit baseball pretty fast because I was not very good at it. And yeah, I think those were the only sports I played. Maybe I don't even know if there was any other sports that I played.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you said you grew up in Cedar Springs, Michigan, born and raised there, right?
Yep. Been here my whole life.
There.
So
okay. Awesome. Awesome. So attending Cedar Springs High School, talk about your high school years of competing and what that looked like for you. You can dig year by year, however you want to go through that.
Yeah, so freshman year came in. Um, well, let's just brag about my middle school days here quick. I
Okay.
never lost a single match in middle school. So
Okay.
I was feeling pretty good coming into high school, and I was a 103 pounder walking around at about 97 pounds.
Yep.
So I came in just thinking I was the stuff, and just learned real quick that little guys are really good at wrestling. And yeah, so freshman year, I mean, I qualified for state. Lost to Nick Corhorn 3, 4 times in the same year. He's a really good guy, but lost to him freshman year a lot of times. Did not achieve all state my freshman year, but I lost. I lost. I hate to blame it on the ref, but I lost on a rough call my freshman year.
In the
So
blood rounds, was it the blood
in
rounds for that?
um no, yes, sorry, it was the blood
Okay.
rounds. It was the bloods
Yep.
freshman year. Yeah, I drug my toes in bounds, but ref saw it as otherwise.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, man. I've had a couple
Yep.
matches like that. It's
But
actually the same thing for me. My freshman year, I should have been quote unquote in
should have
the
been.
in yep in the semis, and I lost in the quarterfinals on a similar situation where I was clearly in two in my position, but I guess it wasn't two. So
Yeah. Hey, ref sees the difference sometimes.
right, right,
Right. And then moving on to sophomore year, had a pretty good year. My second best. It was my first time I achieved all state. I wrestled a great state tournament. Actually I pulled Sean Spido round one. So that was a rough draw right off the rip, and
yep,
he messed me up pretty good. Then I wrestled all the way back. In the blood rounds, I wrestled Nick Corhorn again for like the eighth time in my high school career at my sophomore year,
yep,
and that's the first time I've ever beat him. Is in the
yeah,
bloods at sophomore, and I ended up taking seventh that year, so pretty good year as a sophomore, and then moved up to junior year. I was having a really good year. I only had like 2 losses on the season, and made it. Uh, was wrestling in the state semifinals against Aaron Lucio. I don't know if you know that name. He's down at
yep. I do.
Southeastern now. Him and I have actually become really good friends in our college careers, so we
Okay.
talk a lot. But I was wrestling him, and overtime match is our third time wrestling my junior year. Yeah, third time wrestling that year, and I ended up beating him in overtime to make the state finals. So I had to wrestle Joe Haynes, and then
Yep.
he got me pretty good. He got me pretty good. He's
He
a
was a
good
pretty
wrestler
big
too.
kid.
He was a huge. I forget exactly what weight I was at. I think I was at like 119 that year
Yep.
because I went
Yep.
103, 112, 119. I was working my way right up the line. And then senior year was COVID year, and I hadn't, I hadn't lost all year. Won districts, conference, regionals, won all of that. Made it to state, was ranked number one. I was at 130 that year. Made
Mhm.
it to state, ranked number one in the state. Um, was in the state semifinals, I believe. And Gage Race, I think he was a freshman at that time.
Okay.
He beat me, so I was not
Yeah.
expecting that. Took that loss pretty hard. Almost took the semi slide, but luckily I won a close one in overtime against one of the Link boys from Lowell,
Okay.
and was able
Yeah.
to save myself and take third.
Yeah. Yes. I actually like so obviously Trevor and I went to high school together when I was a junior. I transferred to Cedar Springs. I didn't get to wrestle my senior year due to injury, but I remember that when you were a sophomore and I was a junior, obviously that year we had a really good turnout
Mhm.
and made it to team state, and it was me, you, Lucas, and Ryan that won, and everybody else got killed by Lowell. So
Yeah, that is my favorite high school memory is making it to team state. Like
yeah,
that tops everything else. That just getting to travel as a team, go stay in a hotel with all the guys and just wrestle, and it was just a blast to be with a bunch of guys just watching wrestling on a big stage like that, especially.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah, it was like the first time since what, 95 that we were there or something even.
Yeah. It
So,
was cool. Make a little bit of history along the way and have a
yeah.
blast doing it.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I remember Embry's like, "All right, guys, we got Lowell. They've won at that time. It was like what, six straight or something like that." He's like,
Yeah, they were on their streak still.
"Yep." He's like, "Go out there, just rip some headlocks, just hit some headlocks. Why not?"
It was do whatever you want because
Right.
chances are not good.
No,
We are
no.
not
They
favored
obviously went
here.
on to win again. So,
Yes, yes they did, and
uh,
they've done it still to this year.
yeah, the what, 11 straight now.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's crazy. Let me ask you this question before we kind of dig into some other stuff. So, obviously, you look at D1, D2, D3, and D4 in Michigan. D1, it's predominantly DCC, right? Like this year,
Mhm.
you could have guessed it, and it's exactly what happened.
Mhm.
DCC, Lowell in Division Two, Dundee in Division Three, and Hudson in Division Four.
Mhm.
So it's kind of different in different states, but do you ever think this is my opinion is yes, but do you ever think that anybody after they win a certain amount of team titles should move up a division, or how do you think that should work?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Michigan should just go to one big division, like
I
the
do too.
like the other best states in the country. So, but yeah, I
Yep.
think after you win two or three in a row, like you clearly have dominance in that division. Like
Right.
Lowell, Lowell's gonna win for the next foreseeable future. They're gonna win. It's time for them to
Right.
move up. But then at the same time, you get teams like Dundee, who they can go D4, they can go D2, they can go D1 and compete with DCC. So like,
Yep.
I mean, there's years that DCC, Lowell, Dundee, Hudson, they're all gonna have their up year and a down year, if you
Right.
will. And so, yes, they should have to move up, but at the same time, like DC or Dundee and Lowell dueled it last year, and Dundee beat them up a little bit. So,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, what if they bump up to D2? Then they just win another title there. But they don't bump
Right.
up to D1, and it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it was quite interesting this past year because those teams do obviously wrestle each other. Hudson's not as much in the mix with that. I
Yeah,
think they'd obviously be the lowest out of those four teams, but obviously Lowell beat DCC this past year. And they kind of killed them a little bit,
a little
and
bit. Yeah.
then yeah, and then like what you said, Dundee came in and killed Lowell, and it's like, all right, that's pretty interesting how that all
Mm-hmm.
panned out, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's just getting to that point where I feel like we need to make a change, and hopefully something happens. I don't think anything will happen in the foreseeable future, but we'll see. That'd be
Yeah,
cool,
I agree with you. Something needs to change, but I don't see anything changing.
right? So before we move on a little bit into your college days and all that, let's talk about my junior year, your sophomore year. Okay, you ready for this? A little flashback to the past.
I'm ready.
Okay, boom. What does this remind you
Oh,
of?
oh yes. Summer practices in your garage.
Yes. Yep. The Flying Sorcerer Wrestling Academy. Okay.
Oh,
So it's funny because all right, so I got to start with this. I kind of hit a move on Anthony Brew in practice my junior year, sophomore year.
mhm.
And they're like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "I just like randomly came up with a random name for him, like the Flying Sorcerer." Right? And then that year actually is when we got those shirts made.
Mhm.
And my aunt and my mom made them, and we had like 10 of us on the team rocking them, kind of like
Yeah,
going around to team tournaments and stuff. It's good
that was great.
times.
I remember I wore that shirt at Team State that year
Yep.
for warm ups. That was no, I remember that was fun. We would practice in your garage on like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. It'd be just a handful of us and
Yep.
roll out a mat in your garage, train in your garage for a little bit, go climb your rope in the back.
Yep.
That was a blast.
Yeah.
Those are the
Do
that was
that. Then we
those are
had
good
we had
days.
some protein shakes
Yep.
afterwards that we'd go
Yep.
in and hammer. It was a good time. That was kind of more towards the COVID times,
Yes.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it started out in the high school room, and then we kind of got to that point once COVID
Yeah.
came around.
That was a blast. I miss
Good
the high
times.
school days. Looking back, it's like, dang,
I know.
those really were good days. And this is a
Those
little
were the days.
foreshadowing, but no weight cutting in high school. I never cut weight in high school.
Right?
So,
Me neither. Me neither. So
yeah, it's a little foreshadowing for the college career days.
yeah, yep. So before we move on though, I gotta give a shout out. I have to do this to my mom and my aunt, and you're gonna laugh at this. You remember the first rendition of that shirt? Do you remember it?
Yes, it was misspelled.
Right there.
Resting Academy. 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 Yes, I do remember that.
Oh, dude, that was so funny. I feel bad posting this on here, but it's funny because they were so focused on spelling sorcerer the right way that
That
they
they
just
spelled
completely butchered wrestling and academy.
Resting Academy.
And then they brought those shirts and they didn't even realize it. And they're both college graduates, so that's the funny part. They didn't even realize it. Brought like 10 shirts in, handed them out, and then I'm like, "Hey, you guys know this is spelled wrong." They're like, "No way, we did this." And we're like, "We're still gonna wear it." They're like, "No, no, no, no. Give us your shirts back."
I'd say I remember we rocked those shirts for like 2 or 3 or a few like hours at least before we recognized that, or before someone recognized that it wasn't misspelled, and then
Oh,
yeah.
dude. That was so funny. I had to just bring that up because that
Yes.
was that was a good time.
That's hilarious. I didn't even remember that until you brought that up. That's hilarious though.
Yeah, so
Uh,
my mom, when she watches this one, she's gonna have a good laugh with
yeah,
that.
she should, because
Good
that's
times.
funny. Forgot about
Okay,
that.
so digging back into the actual wrestling scene and all that. Before we move on to your college days, do you think there was an aspect of your game in high school that wasn't quite there yet that restricted you from winning a state title? Obviously, you didn't necessarily think you were going to wrestle in college. Did you think there was an aspect? Do you think it was a weight thing? Do you have anything that you have a thought on that?
I mean, I think I was a fairly good scrambler. Like that was my
Hmm.
go-to, and my biggest weakness was on my feet. And I couldn't do anything on my feet. That not much changed in college all 4 years either. Still can't do much on my feet. But I think that's what held me back the most. I like I said, never cut weight in high school. I had good training partners at school. We had a perfect room. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I had everything going for me really.
Yeah,
So just couldn't rest on my feet. And I think that cost me a lot here or at Cornerstone and at Cedar. So yeah.
for sure. For sure. Yeah.
But
So we'll dig into the time now. So at the end of your high school career, you obviously didn't anticipate wrestling in college necessarily. You were considering it. Wow. Little thunderstorms outside. You hear that?
yeah, it's getting nasty. It was pretty nasty here a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. We just had a big pop over here.
Yeah.
So anyway, didn't necessarily anticipate wrestling in college. How did you end up at Cornerstone? What made you choose them?
Yeah, so I was touring other. I'd never wanted to go D1. I wasn't good enough. So I toured schools like Elma, Davenport. I never even considered Cornerstone. They actually
Hmm.
called me like a week before they announced the program, that the program
Okay.
was coming out, and I told them no, not interested. I want to like I kind of had my thought on wrestling, but I was like, no, if I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go somewhere with wrestling.
Yeah.
But I was visiting small schools like Davenport and Elma, like I mentioned, and I really liked them. And
Hmm.
then Coach Chris called me. He's in Virginia at this point, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Coach Chris. I'm taking the head coach job at Cornerstone University. Just starting a team, and we'd love to have you on it." And that's how it went. And so I'm like, "Well, let's talk a little more about this, and then we can make some choices."
Yeah.
So Coach Chris ended up he left his family in Virginia for a while, came to Michigan, did a bunch of visits to basically every high school, just trying to get anybody that could walk and chew gum at this point. And I'm gonna be honest, that's who we recruited for a little bit, but that's all right. Love those guys still. And
Yep.
but Coach Chris was talking to us. He was giving us a tour of campus. The wrestling room was not built yet. There was nothing.
Okay.
And the thing that really sold me, it's just like any other wrestling school. They offer you some money, they give you some gear, and you wrestle. But the thing that really stood out about Coach Chris is that he said, "I want to make good wrestlers, but I want to make great fathers and husbands."
Yep.
So, and he has poured everything he has into this program. His faith is amazing. Like, and which that was fairly decent or a fairly big chunk for me choosing a school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being just surrounded by a community like that, it just makes you a better person. And we got better at wrestling along the way, but it's just taught me so much as a believer, as a person, and just how to be a better man.
That's awesome. That's really
So,
awesome. Yeah, I know. We'll dig into that as well. But so starting off, dig into your time at Cornerstone. How was the environment being a startup program, like you said, and how was it growing with the program over your 4 year span there?
yeah, just growing with the program was amazing. But so freshman year, I actually just gave my senior speech at our banquet like less than a week ago.
Okay.
And I described freshman year. There was eight of us, six of us on the
Okay.
team, six or seven of us on the team. Sorry, yeah, and we had like five coaches. So like the rest of the coach ratio was like 1 to 1,
Right.
and it was it was very awkward as I worded it in my paper or in my speech because I mean nobody knew each other. We were all basically coming in. Nobody was from the same school, and to be honest, we never really hung out with each other freshman year. It wasn't until postseason that we really started like hanging out with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just show up, practice would be quiet, maybe a little bit of music in the background, and then we'd go home, not really talk to each other, maybe text each other if we needed something. But that
Mm-hmm.
was it. I mean, like the program was it was good. I mean, Fade and I were winning matches. Devin and I would win a match or Devin would win a match here and there. But uh s- I'm gonna be honest, I didn't cut a ton of weight freshman year. I walked around at like 133, wrestled
Okay.
125. So it wasn't like I had to make a huge commitment to cutting weight or anything. Devin was the same way. We'd come in some here and there, cut weight together. And
Okay.
then Uh, let's move on to sophomore year. We
Mm-hmm.
uh we recruited. I think we gained like 7, 8 more guys that year, so we were up to 15. And at this point, like the sophomores at this time, Team One guys, we had become a little bit closer. Like Fade and I, Devin and I. That was mainly the tight group that stuck together at that time.
Yeah.
We would all hang out a little bit outside of practice. Our huge sport is racquetball and spike ball.
Okay.
That's all we do outside of wrestling.
Fun.
Sophomore year, that was the first time I All American took a third that year. Yep.
Yep.
Um, but the team atmosphere was completely different that year. Like we were more of a team. Like we still had our little glicks. Like some of us would hang out here, some of us would hang out there. Like the
Yep.
whole team wasn't really one yet, but Coach Chris was still doing his best to get us all together, but we just didn't fully click yet. And then moving on to junior year, the team, we gained a bunch more guys. At this point, we're at like 25, I think.
Okay. Big
And I
jump.
don't, yeah, I don't know if you've seen Cornerstone's room, but it's not the biggest.
I actually don't think I've been in there yet.
Well, you should come swing by sometime. It's not, it's one full mat, like one big, it's a big, big mat.
Right.
And then,
Yep.
and then there's one, like, it's a section of mat. It's a weird shaped room.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but either way, the room got pretty tight there, and the
Yeah.
team became a lot closer. Actually, some of my best friends are in that class, in that well, what's now sophomore class.
Okay.
Some of my best friends are there. We all that year we all became a lot closer, and I think the freshmen had a huge part to do with that because there was so many more of them. They
Right.
all made a pretty tight bond, and then I was friends with a few freshmen at that time, and then I got into the freshman group, and the whole team kind of came together our junior years when I would really say that we became a tight team. And
Okay.
then my senior year, it's just like you wouldn't even know there's different grades in our room. Like everybody's just friends. Uh, we all go in the room, fight each other, and leave best friends. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's the team atmosphere watching it grow has been insane. It was awkward freshman year. I'm not even gonna lie, it was awkward,
Right.
and then we've grown to be lifelong friends. Like I'm in a buddy's wedding coming up in a few or next year,
Nice.
so like it's we've just become so close.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So That's you gave us the behind the scenes of growing with the program, which I think that's actually a really cool thing, and I think a lot more kids should really consider things like that, where it's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
hey, maybe I'm not D1 level, I could go D2, D3, or I can go NAIA, and I can go ahead and make a name for myself and grow with the program and kind of be the face of the franchise type deal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
which that was really you. It really was you at Cornerstone was the face of the franchise.
Yeah, and like you said a minute ago, you could like that's I would say how we have gained so many people. Like yeah,
Hmm.
being good and having accolades helps. But
Right.
when kids come into our room, they see like a team atmosphere and we're just so tight. Like we're the weird kids at wrestling tournaments. Like before weigh-ins, we're all joking around and like slapping each other and everything, and other teams just look like they don't even want to be there. So
Right.
we're
Right.
known as the weird team around the NAIA tournaments, and we love it. So that's just
Yeah,
that's
that's
just our
cool.
culture.
Yeah, you gotta have fun with it, man. I mean, that's even what
Yes.
I tell everybody. Like we had fun with it my junior year, your sophomore year when we were in
Mm-hmm.
our room in high school. And I feel like with all these kids, once they get to a higher level, it's more of a job, and it kind of was for me when I went to Lock Haven. Obviously, I had
Mm-hmm.
injury problems too,
Yep.
so that definitely didn't help. But it was a job. I was like, all right, why am I wrestling anymore? This isn't fun. My body hurts, and it's it wasn't a tight knit group there, and
Mm-hmm.
so that definitely didn't help. And I think obviously if my body felt better, it might have been a different story. So I can't necessarily blame Lock Haven for that. It's probably a mixture of me and Lock Haven, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah. No.
Um,
No. Yeah. Totally
yeah,
understandable.
yeah, but it's just have fun with it. That's like the way I talk to our kids now that we have some pretty good kids at the club, and
Yeah.
it's just really telling them to have fun with it and don't take it too seriously. Otherwise, you get they make the moment too big and you won't succeed. Really.
Yeah, you especially like at that age, if you're just pouring, if you're making it a job, then you're gonna get burned out by the time. And I mean, high school is awesome, but college is where the fun was for me. Like I had a
That's usually the
blast.
opposite.
I had a blast in high school. Like, don't get me wrong, but being on like a startup program and everything, it was like college was. I learned to have fun with wrestling. I should say, like I was
Yeah.
good at wrestling in high school and it was fun, but like I learned to have fun and how like not to let my wins and losses define me in college.
Yeah, and that's great that that happened, and you see cases like that, but usually it's completely the opposite,
Really.
and everybody gets. I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen it through a ton of people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've done quite a few interviews on here now, and usually it's the opposite. We have a lot of guys
Yep.
that have really good high school success, and they had fun with it, and then they go to college, and whether it's an injury, whether it's the program, whether it's outside factors that happen when you go to
Mm-hmm.
college, it's like wrestling just becomes obsolete to them, and it's cool to see like for you that was not the case.
Yeah. Well, now that you say that, like I've seen cases at Cornerstone where kids found their way out of the program. It's just
Right.
how it works. They weren't loving it. They found their way out.
Hmm.
They made it a job and they got out.
Yeah, exactly, and then that's what it is. It's if you don't actually want to be there and you don't actually want to kind of succeed with the program, then you're out, right?
You know, yeah, you won't make it, especially at the
Right.
Caso. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So we touched behind the scenes on growing with the program. Now let's go year by year with your college career. So freshman year, I took this from your Cornerstone bio, right?
Oh boy.
So I'll read it and then we'll go from there with each season. So you led the team with 30 wins with a 30-9 record as a freshman, an NAIA national qualifier, and you earned the program's first ever win.
Hmm.
39 as a freshman, coming in and making the NAIA tournament, which I think whether it's D1, D2, D3, or NAIA, it's it's still obviously a heck of an accomplishment making those tournaments, yet alone placing.
Hmm.
So how do you think? So dig into there as much as you want. I don't care how much you touch on it, but I want you to touch on your freshman year overall as in competing.
Oh yeah, I got a ton to say about my not a ton, but I got a bit to say about my freshman year.
Okay.
So, we're just a small NAI school. We got 8 guys
Yep.
on the team, 7 guys on the team, whatever. And our schedule comes out. We're opening the year at the Michigan State Open.
Okay.
we've never wrestled a college match a day, and like not a single one of us.
Right.
And we get thrown out there. We got guys on our team wrestling like Skylar Crespo, Cam Caffey, like just these insane
Yeah.
guys, these good guys.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
everybody had a D1 kid that day. And I drew a kid from from Ohio University or
Okay.
whatever, and I was getting smoked. And that's my thing all 4 years. I have a gas tank on me. That's what I'm known for, I guess. And
Yep.
it paid off freshman year. My first match, the first career or first cornerstone win,
Yep.
I ended up beating that Ohio kid, and I beat him in like overtime or something like that. I wrestled a kid from Illinois at the time again, also, who was
Hmm.
a D1 national qualifier this year. He was like a California state champ, and somehow I beat him. I really do not
That's
know how.
awesome.
There was a few matches that at the Michigan State Open that I should not have won, and then I ran into Sean Speidel again, and he messed me up again, and that put an end to my winning streak
Oh,
there.
again.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, the moral of that we opened up as a NAI school first year program at the Michigan State Open, and the rest of the team
That's
did not
crazy.
fare as well as I did. So I'm very
Yeah, I
fortunate that
bet.
I
Did
fared
anybody
as
else win a match?
I'm very fortunate I fared as well as I did there. But
Yeah.
yeah, freshman year, like as a whole, like I said, we wrestled. There was only like seven of us on the team, so it's not like we could go to a dual tournament and win any duels. So it really wasn't worth it for us to do anything but our mandatory contracted duels.
Yeah.
So we wrestled tons of individual tournaments, and that's why I was able to get so many matches on the year. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, usually in college you don't see 39 matches.
No.
It's pretty hard to achieve that, but we are hitting, and I was notorious for losing round one and having to wrestle all the way back for third place. But
I love it.
like freshman year, like I said, I walked around at like 133 pounds, so it was like an 8 pound cut to get to 25. Was not bad at all. At the time, it was hard because I did not know how to cut weight.
Yeah.
It was something else. Then moving on to the conference turn, nothing really crazy happened in between there. We just hit normal D1 or D2, D3 tournaments, few NAIA tournaments.
Okay.
Nothing crazy happened in there. Conference tournament. It was at Indiana Tech. I made my way to the finals, and I lost to now I would consider him one of my fairly decent friends, Anthony Hughes.
Okay.
I He took third at nationals this year, or fourth this year
Nice.
rather. He had a great tournament, first time ever All American, so good for him. It was awesome to
Yeah.
see. But yeah, WAC championships. Did not know how to finish a single leg, and he won. He took me down more times than I could take him down, so that's what it came down to.
Okay.
And then we made it to the national tournament. Thade Radosa from Reese Puffer, he also
Hmm.
qualified that year, so it was
Okay.
awesome. Didn't have to go alone. Um, we showed up. We left for nationals at like 4 a.m. on a Tuesday morning or something like that. Nationals started on Thursday or Friday. At that time, it was only a 2 day tournament. So we drove down there. Well, here, let's back up. This is actually Cornerstone love story here.
Okay.
Um, we show up to a wrestling room at about 4 a.m. There's these two girls standing in the room. They are going to be our managers, I guess. And
Hmm.
Thade and I are like, all right, whatever, it is what it is. Let's go. Let's get in the van and let's get this. Let's just get there. So we are starting to drive, and we stopped at like the Arch, the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. So Coach Chris made it
Yep.
fun along the way,
Hmm.
and we eventually make it to nationals. We play spike ball and everything. Fade, my teammate, starting to talk to one of our managers and everything, and it's a little love story. Flashback to now, they're dating. Pretty sure they're gonna get married soon, is my guess. It's
Nice.
awesome.
Cool.
We love it. So, but yeah, freshman year nationals, I was 2 matches away still from 2 wins away from All American still. So
Okay.
I had a ways to go until I was there.
Yeah.
Drew the number 1 seed or number 2 seed right off the rip. He ended up being he ended his career two-time national champion.
Okay.
Brandon Orm from Life, your brother-in-law's
Oh,
ex
yep, yep.
former teammate. I wrestled him every year at the national tournament until I was a junior. He was a senior.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Pretty
wrestled
good.
him every year, which is not fun, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yep, but came up like 2 or 3 matches short of All American, so I still had a ways to go until I
Yeah.
was able to uh, be at that level. Those guys were just a lot better than me that year.
Okay. So that's a cap on the freshman year.
That's all
Okay.
there was.
Sophomore year. Competed in 41 matches, led the team with 35 wins, winning 10 of them by fall. NAIA All American, first in program history. Go.
hmm That was huge. Being the first, it was so cool being the first All American.
Yeah.
National tournament again was wrestling. Won my first match. Then I ran into Brandon Orm again. He beat me. Wrestled the backside. It was a tough wrestlebacks. I had 2 or 3 kids that I had lost to at nationals the previous year. Um, I ended up beating them. Um, I'm trying to think. So, oh yeah. Uh, Blood rounds. I had a kid from our own conference, which sucks because we want to score as many points as our conference as possible. And when you're meeting in the
Right.
blood round, that's just not a spot to score points. But fortunately, I beat him, was able to All American, which it was an unreal feeling. Just the coaches were waiting there in the corner, just everybody's hugging me and everything. It was one of my favorite college memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was just really cool. But the to all or the like for placement round at All American, I ended up having to wrestle Esco Walker, who was a former national champion the year before. He I ended up beating him, which was probably one of my favorite wins of all college.
Okay.
So sophomore year, really, besides that, we didn't hit any like crazy tournaments or anything.
Okay.
Missouri Valley, it's a huge NAI tournament, a lot of fun, but besides that, nothing too crazy. Brandon Orm won it that year, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I
And you
think your
took
brother,
third then that year.
I took third that year. I think your
Okay.
brother-in-law might have won it that year too.
Probably. Yeah, that would have probably been the
He
year
he
for
he,
sure.
he was there a lot of years.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I think he was what? Was he a two-time second and then a champ? I
He was
think.
a 3 time second.
Was he really? I have
Yeah,
to talk to him about that again. I gotta
yeah, I
refresh
can't
it.
remember,
Yeah.
but
So, but really good sophomore year then. So you go
hmm
from making it, and then obviously being able to almost compete for a national title. You took third. That's awesome.
yeah.
So moving on. Anything else to say about sophomore year?
No, no, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay. Junior year then. Competed in 36 matches, led the team with 28 wins, 6 of them by fall, and earned NAI All American once again.
Yeah, so as you know, it's quite a few less matches.
Yep.
It's when the weight cut started to impact me. I was
Okay.
walking around at 40,
That's tough.
so I was getting up there, and so I started taking weeks off here and there. Um, oh, I forgot to mention sophomore year. I won conference that year, so that was my
Okay.
first conference championship, which was pretty cool. And then
Awesome.
then junior year, moving up, we nothing really crazy happened during the year. Didn't have any too crazy upsets or anything. I was ranked number 2, I think, most of the year.
Yeah.
So, uh, nothing really unexpected happened.
Okay.
I ran into Hunter Sparks, who ended up winning it that year. He's from Eastern Oregon, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in the wrestling
Nice.
world. He's such a cool guy, but ended up running into him in the Missouri Valley finals. He messed me up pretty good.
Okay.
Going in the conference, I had the number 1 seed at conference. I ended up I ended up winning conference. I wrestled Alan Calderon, who he's from Indiana Tech, toughest program in the WAC right now. They're
Okay.
really good. Few former Aries guys have committed there and
Yeah.
wrestled there, so
Yep.
I'm pretty familiar with them. But they're one of our rivals, I guess you would say. But In the end, we're
Gotcha.
still on the same team trying to gain points for the WAC, make us look a little better.
Right.
But I wrestled him probably 3 times that year. Ended up wrestling in the conference championships. Won like 8-1 or something like that. First time we
Okay.
met,
Nice.
first time we met, I teched him. Second time we met, I I don't know if I majored him. 8-1 might not have been the exact score, but it was close.
Okay.
Then, so I won conference, qualified for nationals. Calderon made the semifinals as a true freshman. I
Nice.
lost out in the quarters, or not lost out, but I lost in the quarters, sat back,
Yep.
wrestled my way back. For the fifth and sixth place match, I ended up wrestling Calderon again, for the third time that year, and
Hmm.
I beat him in overtime. So he just
Nice.
closed the gap every single time.
Okay. Still beat him though. Still beat
Still
him.
beat him though, and that's when I took fifth that year. So
Yeah.
little bit worse than the year before, but we'll talk about that after I recap my senior year.
Okay. All right. So senior year, moving on. In October, you were named the program's first ever top ranked wrestler with the number one overall rank at 125 pounds in the NAIA top 25 poll. Talk about the rest of your senior year from there.
Yeah, so I was the highest placing senior to be coming back, so or the highest placing wrestler to be coming back.
Mhm.
So, well, kind of. Aiden Reeves from Grandview, he only had 1 semester of eligibility left. So he had a red
Okay.
shirt first semester, and that's why
Weird.
yeah, so that's why I was the number 1 seed. Then the like first week of second semester when the rankings came out, I got bumped down to 2 because he was the highest returning senior, but he couldn't be eligible yet.
Gotcha.
So really, I was 2 the whole time, but on paper, I was 1 until he could
Hey,
come
you,
back.
you hold that with
I
you to the grave
I
there.
held that 1 spot though. But
Yep.
no, we my senior year, we opened the year at the Pepsi Patriot Open, which was a super fun tournament. We were there till about 10:30 at night wrestling.
Okay.
It was a very slow ran tournament. Wrestled I
That
think
sucks.
3 or 4 matches all day.
Oh,
Weigh-ins at 9 a.m. Finished my last match at like 10:30.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was rough. But it like I don't know if you mentioned how many matches I had my senior year, but there was not a lot.
They didn't put that in the bio.
Yeah, there was very minimal. I walk around at like 150, 55.
Okay.
So cutting to 25 every week was it was brutal. I would
Let
wrestle.
me ask you this. Let me ask you this before we move on. Why, if you were around 150, 155, why didn't you go up to 33?
It's a great question. No, that actually is a great question. My coach gave me
Yeah.
the option at the beginning of the year, go
Okay.
133. I said no. I just want to make 125.
All right.
So making the hydration test and making weight was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life.
You just wanted to put yourself through actual hell every day.
Literally, it was every single week. And he
Yeah.
gave me one more chance at during Christmas break. He said, if you want to go 33, now's your last chance.
Hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm not gonna win a national championship at 133. The guys are too big. My frame, I'm a short guy, and those 33s are big guys.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm gonna win, it's gonna be at 25. So I'm just gonna make the cut down, which in the long run might have hurt me. I might have
Right.
not even All American at 33. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I mean, senior, I was putting 4 or 5 miles on the treadmill every single day running. My knees are shot right now.
I bet.
They hurt. Everything hurts still. But no, my senior year, I had a perfect season. Didn't lose at all. I'm gonna hit on my Alan Calderon matches again.
Okay.
I wrestled him once at Indiana Tech. Last year, he got closer and closer every single match.
Hmm.
This year, my senior year, we were wrestling. He took me down. He went up like 6 or 7-0. It was
Okay.
not good. Going into the third period, I was down like 6 or 7-1. Um, we were running on 1 hour weigh-ins right here though,
That's tough.
and it was tough. 1 hour weigh-ins and cutting that much weight. It got hard.
Yeah.
Um, third period, like 30 seconds left. I took him down, put him on his back, held him there, barely escaped again. So somehow won that match.
Comeback kid.
Yeah, comeback kid. That's 4-0 against him at this point. Ran into him
Yeah,
in the conference championships again.
of course.
I beat him 4-0 there, so I don't want to say it was a dominant victory, but like I didn't leave him in many positions where he could win the match, I guess
You
you could
controlled
say.
it. Yep.
I controlled the match, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So 5-0 against him. And now I won 3 conference championships, so that's also one of my favorite memories, being able to win
Yeah.
conference 3 times. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Uh, and then nationals come around, another tough weight cut. Finally make it down the weight. I I was the number 2 seed at nationals, which is a pretty good draw, I guess. But my
Yeah.
coach, I didn't think it was bad, but my coach goes, "You got probably the worst draw a number 2 seed could get."
Oh,
The kid,
geez.
the kid was a possible. He could have All Americaned. I barely escaped him round one.
Okay.
It was a tight match. Kid was bigger than I was, so I don't know how he made 25. He was taller.
That's insane.
He was wider. Everything was bigger than me. Somehow he made it.
It's crazy.
But I escaped him round one. Round two, I forget who else I wrestled round two. I won my second match though. Round three, next day. Nationals is now a 3-day weigh-in, so you got to make weight 3 days in a row, which is
That's
miserable.
ridiculous.
It
Yeah.
is, especially for how small the tournament was. Is
Yeah.
um, Alan Calderon round run,
Of course.
and it was his day. He
No,
he fi-
no.
he finally pulled it off. The sixth match, I couldn't hold on to him for one more match.
Uh,
So he was pretty dominant in the match.
okay.
I think it was like 9-1 or 9-2. It really he was taking me down, cutting me, taking me down. It was not fun to be out there. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Um
That's tough,
yeah,
man, though. It's like you got him at everything else. It's hard to beat somebody that many times. It
it
really
is.
is.
And he's a really good wrestler. He's
Yeah.
especially like he's only a sophomore.
No, geez.
So yeah, he I can definitely see him on in the finals at least in the next few years
Yeah.
because Grandview's got a freshman that was a national runner up this year. He's
Okay.
very dominant. He lost to his teammate in the finals.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
that was a recap of senior year.
Ended up
Hard weight
taking
cut.
seventh then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So like I said, we'll loop back to that. Every year I went down, and like I thought in my own head, like I just got worse at wrestling. It is what it is. Oh well. And I was having my exit meeting with Coach Chris, and he goes, "Your best chance to win a national championship was your freshman year."
Really?
And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" Because I disagree. And he's
Yeah.
like, "You did not get worse at wrestling. You got considerably better." Which, looking back, I believe him, I guess.
Yeah.
But he said the guys at 125, and like now I agree. Like the guys at 125 just they got so much better. Like just as a whole, the NAI, I'm gonna say as a whole, just got so much better.
Yeah.
It's now where like your D1 guys they go into the NAI, JUCO national champs. A lot of them are coming to the NAI.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not affiliated with NCAA, so I mean, there's not much more you can do, but there's a
Right.
few things that are different.
So let me ask you this. You said so looking back on your college career then, do you believe that's right? That was your best chance to win it?
Um, no, I don't. I think sophomore year. I think
Okay.
sophomore year was my best year to win it, or junior possibly, because
Mhm.
like freshman year, I wrestled Brandon Orm round one, and
Yep.
he messed me up pretty bad. He
Yeah.
majored me. Sophomore
Okay.
year, sophomore year was my highest placing, but when I wrestled Brandon Orem, he still beat me like 7-1.
Okay.
In junior year, I wrestled Brandon Orem, lost to him again, but the score was 1-0.
Oh, geez.
And there were multiple situations where I was within striking distance of getting a takedown, but his scrambles are so good that
Yeah.
he just shut them all down, and I wasn't able to do my thing to get the three. So,
Yeah. So the weight cut obviously affected you quite a bit. Do you think if you would have went 33 that you would have placed higher or you had a chance to win?
I'm gonna say probably no to winning,
Okay.
but I think I could have had a chance to place higher because I could have when I was cutting from 50 or wherever I maintained to that week. I could make 33 fairly easily, but those last 8
Okay.
pounds were rough.
Right.
So I think I could have. I don't. In our conference, we had Luke Rue from Indiana Tech. He was like number 15 in the country coming out of high school, and he's a
Okay.
freshman. He was a freshman this year, and he All American as a freshman, which is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
But I don't know that would have beat him in the conference, but I think overall I could have All Americans probably. I'm gonna say around the same place I would have placed at 125, but it would have
Okay.
been a lot easier on my body. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. Right. Exactly. That's cool though, man. I mean, your career, like that's a great career. Uh,
No, when I finished my last match I was not sad. I had no regrets.
yeah, went out on a win too, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's awesome. So going into Cornerstone, it's a Christ-centered university. Talk about how important your faith was to you during, and how much that contributed to your college success.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. When I was going into college, I was a Christian, but I was not near as strong in my faith as I am now. Going into
Mhm.
there, um, it, I claimed myself as a Christian. I didn't always live like it. Still don't always live like it. But Coach Chris, along with all of our other assistant coaches, all of them are believers, very strong believers. Most of them work in churches, and which it's an awesome community to be around. Um, how that attributed to my success is I no longer let my identity be in wrestling. Like, I
Right.
didn't let my wins and losses define who I was. I knew if I won, that's awesome, praise the Lord. If I lost, praise the Lord, I got to wrestle. I got to show up and wrestle that day. Like, I'm not I'm not upset with my losses anymore. I can learn from them, but I'm not upset with them. I'm not going to let that I'm not going to throw a tantrum and be done with the day and lose out from there. So,
That's great. That's awesome. I like to hear that because as somebody that believe that they could have done a lot better in college wrestling if I wouldn't have been hurt.
mhm,
I let wrestling define me probably a
mhm,
little bit too much or a lot bit too much.
mhm.
And that when I had to officially like determine that I was going to walk away because I could barely get through a day of compete or,
Yeah.
not even competing, just training.
Yeah.
Um, I struggled for a long time. I really did. And
Yeah.
I was just kind of mad, angry with God. I'm like, I thought this is what you wanted me to do. I thought this is how you wanted me to, you know, show show my faith through you, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, so why are you taking this away from me?
Mhm.
And it was obviously I'm happy now. I'm married. I run the
Yeah.
wrestling facility, helping the next group of guys come through, which I think is more important than anything I could have accomplished as a wrestler myself. So it's great to hear that because you actually understanding that's the reason probably you had the success you did.
Yeah. No, totally. And like you said for yourself, that's probably where you saw the most growth in yourself like as a person is when you were questioning, struggling, like I forget what Bible verse I was reading the other day, but it's like uh the foolish are just content with their lives and like the people who are struggling are growing the most is basically what it
Yep.
was saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's very real. If your identity lies in wrestling, you're gonna get in trouble because and whether you realize that right now or not, not the point, but one day you'll realize you're not going to be able to wrestle anymore. Your body's not going to be able to take it anymore. You're going to have to step away to a coaching role, and that may be what the Lord is calling you to. And I've seen what you've been doing at what is it? Grappler
Premier
now?
now,
Premier?
Michigan Premier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's awesome to see that program is flourishing right now. Like there's so many guys there. And there's
Yeah.
some good guys there, really good guys there. And you're being able to work in there is probably way more it's probably more rewarding even than
It is.
your own wins. Like I'm
It
going back
really
to
is.
coach at Cornerstone next year, and I'm excited to help some of the guys who poured into me this year. I'm excited to help them next year and help them achieve their goals.
That's awesome. So, congratulations on your career. I just wanted to say that again to you.
Thank you.
It's a great career. Um, I was actually going to ask that about coaching. So you actually are going to go and coach at Cornerstone next year.
Yep, I'm gonna do as much as I can because I'm
Mhm.
in the real world. I'm gonna be moving in. I'm gonna be working with my dad now.
Yep.
So whenever I can, make it in the room. I told coach in our meeting probably 2 to 3 days a week at least.
Hmm.
Hopefully more. So when I'm gonna make the time to get in there and help out the guys because there's so many guys in the room right now that this year there's no way I would have made 125 without all of them. They all took turns running with me, biking with me, everything. They
That's great.
especially yeah, they poured into me a lot this year.
That's awesome. So now officially done competing, or is there a possibility that you'd go freestyle?
Mm, I don't know. Probably not freestyle. I'm terrible at freestyle. If I'm gonna
would you
be
would you do some other opens or just
yeah,
compete? Is what you're
absolutely.
saying?
I think I'm gonna do some opens next year.
Okay, that's
Just
great.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just not cutting, maybe cut a little bit of weight just to get down so I'm not like in the 157 weight class.
Right,
I don't
right.
want to get destroyed by these huge guys, but no, I definitely don't want to be done.
Okay, that's
There's
good to hear.
there's still more in the tank.
All right, even with the knees that are shot from all the running.
Yeah, yeah, they hurt, but you know, they're gonna hurt for the rest of my life, so might as well deal with it and go. My knees aren't as
That's
bad as
yeah,
your knees though.
yeah.
I don't need surgery on them. So
Right, right. So as long as you can avoid surgery, as long as you can avoid going under the knife, you'll be all right.
yeah, I'd say my knees are not. Don't let me. They hurt, but I don't think near as bad as yours.
Yeah, dude. I wear a knee cup brace on my left one because that's my not as bad one, and
Yep,
then I
not
wear
as bad.
the not as bad one. I wear the Anaconda Fightwear one. I don't know if you've seen those.
I
So
haven't.
it's
I
like
are
made
they
for BJJ guys.
okay? Yep.
Yep. So I wear that one on my right one with like a sleeve underneath it, and it's
Hmm.
tight. It's compression. I can't bend it all the way when I use it, but my knee feels a lot better. Like if I don't wear that, I have a possibility of even hurting it or just being like walking out of the practice room, just being like, oh my gosh, I can barely walk right now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Fortunately, we're not near there. They,
Yeah, that's good though. So
yep.
being that you are gonna compete for sure then next year a little bit.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
coaching those guys. You left college with a business management degree.
Yep.
Um, Are you gonna do anything, or do you have plans to do anything with that?
Yeah. So I actually started a drone business
Okay,
where I fly large drones and spray crops with them. Actually.
that's sweet.
So my dad and I kind of partnered in that, and but he's kind of just let me take the lead on it and do what I can with it. So it's a pretty cool opportunity I had to be able to do this, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really sweet.
yeah,
That's cool. I did not know that.
yeah, it's a not many people do. I haven't done a ton about it, but or said a ton
Yeah,
about it, but it's an opportunity that just came up for me, and I figured I'd jump on it. It's an early market here in America, so give it a
yeah,
try.
that's
I'm
great.
young.
So, yeah, exactly. Might as well take it when you're young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, living life on the farm, then that's what your plan is, and then doing the drone thing.
Yep.
That's awesome. That
Yep.
sounds
Yep.
like a great plan, and coaching wrestling in the mix.
I'd
That's
say
awesome.
in the winter I'll be a lot in the wrestling room. So
Great. It's great. So before we move on to the last little bit here, I have to touch on this because this is in your cornerstone bio. Okay. I don't know if this is still the case.
I think I know
Uh,
where this is going.
you probably do. Favorite sports figure is AJ Ferrari. Is that still
100.
true?
100%.
Okay,
I love this
elaborate.
guy. I love this guy.
Elaborate.
He he brings personality to wrestling.
He does.
I think wrestling needs a person like him to grow. Like, it's awesome having a bunch of like Parker Keck-Eisens. They're
Yep.
just not they're fun to watch, but nobody's going and standing on their head. Nobody's doing the splits, double birds,
With the
like
double birds. Heck
yeah,
yeah.
nobody else is doing that. He brings another side to wrestling that like people are like, is this really what wrestling is? And it may be
Yeah.
a disappointment when they come and watch, but it's still like it still
Right.
brings another view to wrestling. And you know, his background is a little hairy, but I think he's changed as a person. I really do.
He has
I think he's a great transformation story.
organic bamboo underwear.
Organ and bamboo toilet paper
And-
or organic toilet paper. And
Man.
I love it. I think my coach disagrees with me here and there,
Yeah, I
but
bet.
after watching some of the things that he like did at the national tournament, like he was like going up to other guys and he was like congratulating them and like he was just like loving on them. And
Yep.
the big thing going around the wrestling group chat, if you don't like AJ Ferrari at this point, the hate is forced. The AJ Ferrari hate is forced. You're just hating on his
Yeah,
past, and
exactly.
that's all you got on him at this point. No, I love
Yeah.
him. I have him on Snapchat. I was texting him before every match.
Were you?
I was saying good luck, bro, and everything. I
That's
love the guy.
awesome.
I think he's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I obviously watched some of the interviews from this year.
Mhm.
He's grown a lot through his faith too.
Yes.
So that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to see. And what do you think about him going to North Carolina?
Um, I didn't see it coming, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't pay attention a crazy amount to like the transfer portal and everything and why they all like, transfer everywhere, but
right.
I really don't know. I hope the best for him. I really hope he does great there.
Yeah, I think
And
he will
that
do.
I
Will do
think he
great.
will. Yeah. Training partners, I truthfully don't know who he's going to train with there, I guess.
Well, he's got actually Owen was talking about it. He's got a guy that God, what was his name now? God, I can't remember this. Oh well, he's got an assistant coach on staff that's like a freak
All
athlete
right.
too. So he's going to train with him. He's actually got Vincenzo Joseph on staff there as well.
All right. I thought he went back to Penn State.
No, Vincenzo is at North Carolina coaching now.
All right.
Yeah, so he's got some guys for sure.
Yeah. No. All
So
right.
that'll
Yeah,
be
that
good.
that
Yeah.
makes sense
I,
then.
I I agree though with what you're saying because wrestling is never going to be that sport that's like football or what
Mhm.
that has the money opportunity after college.
Yep.
The NIL has changed that a lot. There is a lot of guys getting a lot of money now, which is kind of insane, but also
It,
really good for them. I
yeah,
love it. It's great.
absolutely.
Um, but we need a figure like that to grow wrestling a little bit because it's just never going to be as big as all those other sports.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but I had to ask you why because I know that's a
I love
controversial subject.
I love AJ Ferrari. Everybody on my team knows it, and I'll always love the guy. He's awesome. Got to meet him once. One of my better days ever.
I love it.
It was actually on a trip with Owen. So
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I remember him saying something like that. It's like, "Yep, we were fanboying over AJ Ferrari."
yep, that was
That's great.
good days.
Last thing here, we recently started 2025 a couple months ago. What would this next year look like for you if you could paint the picture?
Yeah, so obviously graduating here in less than a month. So
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to finishing up school. I never loved school, but kind of got to do it.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to graduating. I've been really excited for the past probably 3, 4 months about starting this whole drone thing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to start working with it. It's new to me. It's new to America. So
Right.
that's gonna be my summer. That's gonna be my summer. I'm gonna be working with this thing, paying it off really,
Yeah.
uh, making some money along the way, and then uh, come winter time, I'm ready to get back into the wrestling room, start coaching these guys,
Yeah.
learn a little bit about coaching. I'm not a good coach. I, I've got a lot to learn, so that's a huge thing that I'm gonna be looking forward to is learning how to coach.
Yeah, it's a rewarding thing, like you were touching on, being in it for about 3 years now.
Hmm.
Uh, it's better working with that generation of guys, the older guys, the little guys. I love working with the little guys because you have
Hmm.
progress throughout all the way.
Yes.
But when you get to you get to work with guys that are a little bit more experienced, you can kind of work in growing them as a man, and then in growing them in their sport of wrestling. So I would say for you, it's going to be one of those things. If you're going to still compete, you're going to realize that you're going to be a way better wrestler because you're coaching and you have to break things down, kind of dumb things down,
Yep.
and it's going to help you a lot just as a wrestler as well.
No, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like you said, I want to pour into these guys. I want to pour into them
Yeah,
spiritually, mentally, wrestling wise. I want everything for them.
yeah,
So
that's great. That's good to hear. You got a girlfriend still, the same
I
girlfriend that you've
I
had,
do
right?
since high school. She's
Are
helped me
you?
a ton through the way too. Those late nights cutting weight on the treadmill. She's in the weight room with me running, or she's not running, but she's in there.
She's in there, support, moral support.
Yeah, she
Is
is.
that something that you want to possibly propose in the next year or so?
I've been waiting. I'm waiting until I get out of college, and then
Wait for the right moment.
yeah, and
That's
college
awesome.
is
Yep.
close.
There you go. But Trevor, I really appreciate you joining me for season 3, episode 11 of Locked In Podcast. It was great hearing about your life just through the sport of wrestling and seeing how you've grown in your faith. And as a man, it's awesome.
I really appreciate you letting me on here. It's awesome being on here with a former teammate, seeing that you've been able to start a podcast like this and talk to a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's fun. I this is a big hobby of mine, man. I love digging into, and I'll do other sports too. I've done some other
Hmm.
guys, but it's mainly wrestling right now, just because that's something I'm more of an expert at, and so I like
Yep.
to hear perspectives from all different walks, whether it's NAI, Division One, Division Two, Division Three,
Hmm.
some world guys that I hope to get on here. Like I have Seth Gross on Snapchat. I might message him, see if I can get him on here.
That's awesome.
Bark Hall is somebody I want to get on here
Hmm.
soon as well. So,
That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
man, it's great. So, thank you everyone watching back home. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram there at official_locked in podcast for all the updates there. Thanks again, Trevor, and I look forward to meeting up with you. I got to get you one of these hats.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have a good one, man.
You as well.